Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, that's not him. Jamie,
Yeah.
let's go watch Hell Comes to Frogtown. Everybody, welcome to another episode of Good Times, Great Movies. We're an 80s movie podcast. Every 2 weeks we watch a different movie from the 80s and then we talk about it. I'm one of your two hosts. My name's Doug McCambridge, and with me, as always, is Jamie Lorello. Just, what do you... Oh, that's a frog face. I thought you were voguing there for a second. I was like, I don't think Madonna was in this unless she was the female frog. Possibly.
We don't know.
You know what I'm surprised by? No frog boobs. I was kind of waiting.
No.
Frogs
are not sexy. Frogs aren't sexy.
I know.
But you want... Well, they didn't have boobs on the... Listen, I'm not downing on a lady's figure, but it's not like the sexy lead had any boobs either.
No.
That was wrong of me to say. That was very wrong of me to say.
We said so much horrible stuff for patrons at the top, and you saved that for everyone else listening.
I mean, her breasts are...
Listen, didn't have... She was very bony. She was very thin. Like...
She was not voluptuous.
Dangerously thin. Like, to the point where I was concerned for her
You were worried.
health.
You were worried. You were like, does anybody eat in Frogtown?
Yeah.
Do they feed her on the budget that the government is on? The provisional government that she works for?
You know that Rowdy destroyed craft services. Like, he left nothing for anyone.
Clearly. He's like, here, you can have a celery stick that came with my sandwich.
So anyway, we're here to talk about, and if people don't know this, there are two levels on Patreon. One, you give us $5, and you get all the bonus episodes. You get every episode early, and you get every episode uncut, all the stuff that we talked about for 10 minutes that no one but patrons heard. You get to hear that. And then there's another tier at 15 where you get to pick a movie every year for us to watch. And this is Zeke's year. This is not his year. It's his month. It's his choice. And so he picked a movie called Hell Comes to Frogtown. And that's what we're talking about.
Now, do we know the reasoning behind his choice?
It's interesting because I always feel like I think people's choices fall into two categories, I'll just say, and I could be wrong. Either a movie that was very important to somebody and they really, really enjoy it and they just want to hear us talk about it, or something that somebody thinks is a movie that we perhaps need to see. And I don't want to say that Hell Comes to Frogtown falls into that second category, because for all I know, this is a super important movie to Zeke.
Very special to him. Very special. Now, you and I think we've not had ever heard of this movie before.
I had heard of it. I had heard the name, and I knew that Rowdy Piper was in it.
Gotcha.
And I assume it had to
Can we just call him Rowdy Piper? Roddy Piper? Do we have to call him Rowdy every time? It's fine. Well, you can.
Well, I know. Sorry. I didn't watch much wrestling as a kid, but that's kind of how I know him. I'll just call him, what's his name in this movie? It's so silly.
Sam Hell. Sam Hell. Sam Hell?
I will try and call him Sam. I will try and call lady nurse, lady doctor, whatever her name is, Spangle. I'll try and call, I will not know her name. I'll call her Citronella. Like I said, I will call her Lemoncello. Like, I do not know what her name was in this movie.
I don't know any of the
Cinnabon?
frogs.
Maybe?
No, Sentinella.
Okay. Yep. There's no way. There's no way there's absolutely no way I'm keeping that straight.
All right. Fair enough.
Looney Tunes might be the only one I get right.
Looney Tunes you got. Yeah. I don't know the Toad Frog men had names, but I couldn't keep them straight.
No.
Did you? There's like a frog leader, and then there's the frog sidekick, and then there's...
Right. And like I said, I don't want to sound frogist, but they kind of look the same. Like, they put one guy in like a robe and it had some fur or
Yeah.
like a feather boa on or something. And the other guy had a big fez, like the guy.
Oh
who
yeah,
was
he
in
had
the-
like a mohawk thing happening.
I thought it was a
Yeah.
giant hat. I thought it was a big red hat.
Hard to tell. Hard to tell. He was always in a dark room. It's very dark in
Because every
Frogtown.
time I met a frog, I'm like, well, this must be the villain. Oh, no, wait, there's another villain in the bar. He must be the villain.
Right.
No, there's another guy.
No, now this guy's the guy they're having the meeting with.
Right.
But then they're taking that. Then she's been taken to another frogman.
Three frogmen that we really meet in this movie. 3 important frogmen. And then I love how all the other underling frogmen, they clearly did not have a budget for all this makeup, so they just had them cover their face the whole time. I kind of super love that workaround.
They just had their masks.
I love how it's just like
Yeah.
we got 5 guys and they each have to play 8 different frogmen.
Yeah.
Let's just do this.
First of all, in 1988, you said
88,
this was?
yes.
88. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is sort of I guess, a post-apocalyptic. Like they give a little summary in the beginning of there
not
was a
even a
difference of
summary.
opinion, a nuclear war of
Yep.
sorts.
And
now we're 10 years post that.
I
and
was
this is where we
ready
are.
for a story. Like when we started to hear somebody doing a voiceover, I was like, all right, strap in. I better write this down. And it was like, a lot of people didn't get along. And then I see an A-bomb
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, I kind of got it. You don't need to go on anymore. And they didn't. There was no further explanation.
No, they were just like people were angry, and then a nuclear bomb went off, and here we go.
And here we go. You know what, folks? You fill in the gaps. Whatever.
Yeah.
Are these people that mutated into frogs? Or are they frogs that mutated into people? Were there always frog people underground and they just made their way up? Who knows? Nobody mentions it. Nobody talks about it. You get to make up your own backstory for this
No.
movie.
Yes, that's right. We'll give you the background of it's a dark time.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of life happening, right?
No.
And
but
there's greeners as they're called in the beginning, right?
Yep.
And then the couple of humans.
I just again, greeners, is that meant to be like a racist term for them?
I think so.
Well, then what do greeners call themselves? Or is that a word that greeners can say, but we
I think
can't?
only greeners can call themselves greeners.
I'm just like, why don't they call them frogs? Like, why aren't they just doing that? That would be an insult to me as a frog man. If somebody called me a frog, I'd be like, I'm not a frog. I'm a frog man. That seems to be the insult.
Oh, that's the well.
But again, if you're
there's frogs and toads.
wait, are there really? They call them one guy Major Toady.
Toady, yeah,
I
I
looked
think
it
he's the
up.
toad.
It's
Yeah.
Totie. So
that's Major Toddy.
yes, so it's not even a pun. Like it's like, what is this in this movie? I know I probably shouldn't have watched the credits. Maybe that was where I went wrong.
Yeah, you shouldn't have clarified certain
Hey,
things for you.
I do have to say, I kind of love these opening credits, like the still shots.
Yeah, they
of
were
the
very pop arty. Yeah. It was a little fun open. I was like, oh, this is going to be like
Yeah,
a
it was
little
like I was
artsy
like
film
at-
here. What's happening?
Studio
Yeah.
54 with Andy Warhol, like watching
Yes.
opening credits for this dumb movie, and it was super great.
Yeah, and and you knew that there was something dangerous, like in all the little stills they had, the characters were holding weapons of some kind for the most part. So you knew what you were kind of getting into. Well, obviously, when we start in this post-apocalyptic world,
Yeah,
we kind of
you knew already you were about to meet Roddy Piper, and he's holding all his weight in his face for this movie.
He's a bit bloated. He's a bit bloated in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Between They Live and this, I assume his diet was just alcohol and salt
And
that
fried
was it.
foods. Fried foods. Maybe they filmed in Vegas, and he was just living that lifestyle of.
He
I don't
showed
know.
up a week early to shooting, and he's like,
Yeah.
well, I got my dates wrong, but I guess I'll just hit the buffet.
I'll just hit the buffet, stay up late, drink a lot. Here we go.
And
Want
also, his Farrah Fawcett hair in this movie looks ridiculous.
It's his whole look in this movie. And now, again, as we meet, so first we meet him as this wanted character, right? There's a poster of him. He's been wanted and captured. His name, like we said, is Sam Hell. Hell comes to Frogtown. Sam Hell. Titular. He's tortured, kind of, by, like you said, a man. We don't really know why this man is torturing him.
No.
But he's
Well,
not tortured
we do know why. Apparently, Sam seemed to have an affair with his daughter.
Oh,
Or a
right,
thing.
right.
Not
That's
even
true.
an affair, because it's not even like he's like, my daughter's a married woman or something. No, he just slept with his daughter. We do find out, though, that this guy's daughter is pregnant. And I guess if you know you have a little Piper coming, you might not be all that happy about that.
Well, and it's a different world now, and there's not a lot of women that are fertile. They literally call them the fertiles, so the ladies that are.
This is another question of mine. Mm-hmm. Is it both? Is it that both men and women are infertile? Or, because they make a big deal about him packing a deadly weapon, or not a deadly weapon.
Yeah.
What, I mean,
they do call it.
Yeah, your precious
a loaded
cargo
weapon.
Stuff.
It's a loaded weapon.
Right, and loaded weapon. Yeah, so they make a big deal about that, but then they make a big deal about these other women who were captured by greenies. So I guess it is, and really what it is apparently there's some sort of population war going on. So I guess the Soviets, I'm assuming it's the Soviets because it's the 80s, nuked us, we nuked them. So there's still a population war. Because I did like that in the voiceover where the lady was like, and 10 years later, they just did it again. I'm like, wait, another nuclear war? 10 years after the first one. Wow. So I guess now it's like, well, who can build the population back up so we can have another war?
Right. If the frogs build their population up faster, you mean?
I didn't think it was that. I thought it was us against the other nation.
Oh.
I thought these frog people were just like a weird anomaly where it was like, check out Frogtown.
This is what happened. Yeah, this is what happened from like a Chernobyl sort of effect.
Yeah, because I don't think we're actively at war with the frog people. I think it's like, you know what, frog people,
it's
you
a shady
do yours,
place. Yeah.
We'll do ours. Oh, no, you captured. Did this movie remind you later on? It totally reminded me of Mad Max Fury Road.
Yes.
When they were in the car with all those women, and I was like, this...
And then they're in the desert, and they're having this... Yes,
I was like, Fury Road is a ripoff of Hell Comes to Frogtown. I can't even believe it.
You were shocked.
I really was.
I think population-wise and fertility-wise, I think that... Again, because I think the two ladies there, I think they even say it, Centinella or Citronella and Spangle are both not fertile. That's why maybe they're smarter. I don't know.
Those other women are a bunch of ding-dongs.
They are. I like the one that's like, they're like, get the sword. She's like, but I'm passive.
And I like how she has to raise the sword about a half an inch so he can grab it. I'm like,
that's all
Roddy, listen, I know you got muscular arms, but you could grab that sword.
Oh, and I like it when Spangle's trying to edge over to it, like in an obvious way, too. She's like, wah, 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 wah. The guy's like, don't do that. She's like, wah, wah. Anyway, I think what the issue is there's fertiles, some of these ladies that can still reproduce. Like you said, they want more in the population. There's the infertiles that seem to also be maybe... the more educated of the ladies. I'm not sure, that's a broad statement. And I think the population of gentlemen is dwindling. I don't know that it's the gentlemen's potency, all of them, but definitely, and maybe that's because the gentlemen have become frogmen. I don't know.
And again, this is all stuff we are to make up because we don't meet, before we get to Frogtown, we don't meet more than, and I'm even going to put those guys at the checkpoint into this category.
Okay.
I think we meet 6 people.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Yeah.
We meet 3 women. And
we meet a saucy nurse, like this first nurse.
This
that's with
nurse
them.
is great. I expect her to start talking about Pine Sol. This lady is hilarious. So he's getting beat up, but he's interrupted by a sassy nurse who walks in and is like, we ran some tests on this dude. He's coming with us. We need him for humanity.
Yes, yes. And again, we're looking at Roddy Piper. I'll say it twice too.
It's
and
we're Rowdy. Rowdy.
Rowdy. That's what, well, I'm saying Roddy. I see. Rowdy.
Maybe that was the problem you had. You're like, why do we have to say Roddy twice?
All right. Well, let's just call him Sam. That's
listen. Call him Sam. Yeah, that's
Sam.
Fine.
Sam Hell. We'll call him Sam Hell. So he again, he's supposed to save humanity, and he looks like shit. But that's okay. Humanity doesn't have to be good looking.
The apocalypse did happen twice in a 10-year span.
That's true. But as you pointed out, he has lovely Pantene Pro V hair. So they come, these 2 nurses, they come in and retrieve him, and they take him to this med tech place, right?
Yes.
which is government run. I love the signs. This is when I was first writing down, I was like, oh, this is going to be a hard movie because there's just a lot to take in and pay attention to. There's a lot that happens. And even when they first get to MedTech, there's a sign that says, there's got all these posters up at MedTech. One of them, it says, making babies is what we do. And
is that the one with the condom with a circle with
no, that's a whole different one. There's a condom. It says condoms like with a slash through it. And it says, the future is in your hands. Yep. So we're meant to think that, and then we have the lovely Rowdy, Sam in a backwards. Well, he's wearing what looks like a ladies' hospital gown because it's purple, and he's tied it in the front wrist. And that's it. Besides this, like.
But I guess they need to inspect the front of him and not necessarily the back.
Yeah, they don't need his butt. Why is he wearing
the hospital gown?
Because they need to see the package. They don't need to see the other side. Yeah, and then he's got this like chastity belt on, this locked up metal thing on his crotch.
This outfit that because it's almost like they didn't give him back his clothes, and it's just a shirt that's barely buttoned. And I don't understand the jeans, because did they cut the crotch out of the jeans and then put this like?
So do you see what they? So when we first meet him, and he's got this device on which. Now he's got to wear we understand he wears for the remainder of the film. Well, until the frogman chops it off with a chainsaw. Until the frogman chops it off. What?
With a chainsaw. and Roddy's expression is of like mild annoyance with this.
Yeah, it's like he's getting his toenails clipped. I know.
Like a half-inch from your carotid artery. Like, this is dangerous.
From your what is loaded weapon.
Wait, is that your carotid artery in your leg? Or is that the one in your neck?
I think that's in your neck.
What's the one in your leg?
Your penile artery?
Anyway,
I don't know.
It's a serious artery.
I don't know. We're not doctors.
Yeah. If you weren't sure, if this is your first time listening to this, we're not doctors.
Anyway, when he finally is clothed afterwards, like you said, he's on this like loosely fitting, half buttoned up T-shirt or button down shirt, jeans, and then do you see how they have like this like weird brown cloth that he wears to kind of cover up? Yes, but over his jeans, over his jeans.
Yes. It's not like he's just naked running around with a metal chastity belt on that blinks and beeps and has words on it.
And how does it? I love it too, because when he's first wearing it, he tries to take it off, and they're like, "Oh no!" And they explain to him how it works. There's a flap, and I love it later on when Sentinella is trying to get it on with him, and she's like, "How do we even do this?" He's like, "There's a flap."
There's a flap, and I'm like, "We never see this flap. Is it
but
just
what
a button
happens
release?
with the flap? Like,
I don't know. I assume it's so that he can pee, because later on he does go off to pee. So I assume that he must know where there's like a button or something that opens somewhere. That's
I'm
the other
picturing
thing.
like a flap, like, you know, on a trash bin when you have that flap that opens and then it kind of slowly closes.
Okay. Maybe.
Because then later when when they find that one fertile, the fertile on the run.
Yep, the fertile on the run. Yeah. I was like, I think this is going to be a feral woman. No, she's perfectly intelligent and able to tell them where to go. And yeah.
He didn't know, I guess. He knows that he's a lucky man and he gets the ladies, but he didn't know the potency of his...
He was like, I thought it was my hair this whole time. That's why I'm taking such good care of it.
And they basically tell him, like, no, you're our property now. And he signs a contract.
Yeah, it's this sort of thing. Basically, it's just like, hey, listen, you are super important to us. You're going to repopulate the earth, the country.
Yeah, we got to get you onto these ladies.
Yeah, and then it's also like, we have to take you to where these ladies are. But I don't think they tell him that these ladies are in Frogtown. So the whole operation is like, we have to rescue women who are captives of murderous frog people so that you can impregnate them for your country. P.S. We've covered your genitals in metal for some reason.
We're protecting them. They are, and it says even on there, it says property of provisional government.
Yes. Okay.
All right. So we've got a mission planned. with our friend Sam and Sentinella and Spangle, and off they go. Right, the mission is, like you said, to kind of save these women, but at the same time, he's also got a bigger mission because he's got powerful sperm and he must impregnate.
It's
all
so
the fertiles.
weird to be like, all right, this is a 3-person mission to infiltrate these evil frog people and rescue these women, and also this guy who holds the future to humanity, yet you're gonna risk your life too. Like, I don't know why he just doesn't sit this one out.
Right, and let them kind of go in, and well, because he's part of it too, because when they get to Frogtown, clearly, like, that's when she puts the collar on herself, and like he's got to be her piece, so they just can't go into Frogtown alone as women.
I know, but I'm not trying to ruin this movie, but I guarantee you Citronella could have walked into that bar with
She's
that
pretty
woman on a
badass.
chain and that giant machine gun and played that role.
Yeah, I agree. Sentinella's the tough one now they do have this pink truck that they drive around in, but regardless,
it's like
the
a
pink Meditech truck
car. It's so funny. Look, like, just the choices throughout this movie are amazing because none of it makes any sense at all.
Well, that's what's so, like, what's happening the whole time. Oh yeah, what's happening in this movie? Off they go with Spangle's driving.
They do take turns driving because at one point Spangle's having a lengthy conversation with Roddy Piper, and I was just like, who's driving? Her eyes are not on this road at all. But then you see that Citronella's up there driving. But most of the time Citronella is out of the moonroof, let's call it, sunroof, with a giant machine gun that's mounted on the top of this old car.
She's ready to take on anybody in this desert that's coming at them. But it's quite the travel to Frogtown. They have 2 nights of camping.
Well, first they go to the border patrol for some reason.
Oh, right. Well, they have to get through there.
Just 2 guys. And then the guy who threatened him just a couple scenes ago walks out. And everybody seems so surprised. I'm like, you didn't know that's where he works? Like, you seem so surprised by this. But yeah, he's evil. And he turns out to be one of the many bad guys in this movie. At every turn, I was like, oh, now they have to deal with this bad guy? Oh, now this guy's even worse than him? Okay, let's keep going, movie.
But why? What is so bad about them? We don't know. They're just evil and they want him maybe because they're jealous because he's got all this
I don't know, because I love the one frog guy where he's like, I don't want to have sex with this woman. I'm not like a creepy pervert. I just want her in the bar. It'll bring up attendance. Like, it's like, all right, okay, Frogman, I get it. I expected him to go, and I'm going to pay her a sensible wage. Like, this is fine. This is all on the up and up. Look at me, I'm wearing a jaunty hat.
I'm not trying to do
suit.
no harm here. Yeah, the Border Patrol is just trying to stop them. Doesn't really stop them. Sentinella gets right in there and is like, yeah, I could either. Is this when she gives him the line, like, do you guys want to eat dirt or eat metal? No, that's later on when she uses that line, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's later because the frogmen, they just lay on the ground. Yeah. No, I think she just threatens him. I don't know. She's the coolest person.
They do tell Roddy to shut up. They do because Roddy Piper's like, what are we doing? Like, why don't we just listen to these guys? And they're like, shut up. Roddy
Piper at the beginning of this is scream delivering every line of dialogue when they're in that car, and he's just like, you almost got my ass shot off, and now we're in mutant territory, and I hope you know what you're doing. And I'm like, there's no emotion here. Like, there's nothing.
He's just screaming.
It's just scream delivery.
Well, when they are chatting in the car, he says, I used to take everything seriously, and then they all blowed it up. Oh, all right. We know because there's an apocalypse. Yeah, we know. The nuclear bomb happened. Yeah, and he does.
He
wears a necklace. Yeah, he wears that necklace that I guess he had a daughter and a kid or something. But then he gives it to Sentinella later.
I almost didn't want to spoil that because that was when this happened in this movie. I literally out loud went, "What are you doing? Why would she want a locket? I assume a picture of his daughter's in there. First of all, why are you giving it away? And why are you giving it to this random woman?
I don't know.
And why is she accepting it? Why isn't she like, no, you can have that. I have no sentimental attachment to this or you.
Right. No, well, she did. So, okay. So they get out and they're headed to Frogtown to, the mission is to get these ladies out so he can get them pregnant. The first they stop to fill up on gas, which isn't really at a gas station. They just need to literally put more gas in the car. And this is when he first tries to escape. He's like, I gotta take a pee. This is terrible.
He literally like slow walks over a ridge and is like, see ya, ladies. What? They have a car and a gun. What are you doing?
And he just starts running. Then he just starts running. He's like, I'm getting out of here. And I was like, this movie's taking a turn. How's he just escaping like that? And where does he think he's going? Like you said, they have a car. They're in the middle of the desert. Like, where are you running to, buddy? And sure enough, an alarm goes off on his contraption there. And he's like, what? And I think it starts to hurt him too. Yeah,
it starts shocking him, which doesn't come back because later it happens, but he's not being electrocuted. So I don't know. No. Yeah.
But when he comes back, she explains that he can only go a certain distance because they are tied together, basically. It's part of the mission. It's part of the contract, even. And she's got these 2 white earrings that she wears, these big. And through the earrings, she has a lot of control. All she has to do is click.
And each earring does something different, too, which I thought was hilarious.
She's like Gem in the hologram.
She's like, I just this one will shock you. This one will blow your dick off. Okay, all right. Why you need 2 of them, I don't know, but all right.
And I like later when she's all handcuffed and he's dragging her and she's like, don't touch my earrings because if you take them off me, your dick will explode.
So much thought went into this movie. I love it.
So they have their first night of camping out, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Was there something else?
I was going to go to this first camping scene because I'm very confused by what's happening.
They have a tent set up, but really the sleeping arrangements are sleeping bag, tent, and car. Now, this is where she comes in, Spangle, starts to do some sexy dances in this very elaborate camo lingerie, right? It's like a camo color.
The camo underwear is really weird. And it comes out of nowhere. Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, what's her name? Citronella. She's just like sitting there, popping out of the car, like polishing her gun or something.
Kind of chuckling to herself. She chuckles. She looks over at them every now and then.
It's hilarious. Like, everything that goes on, she finds amusing. And Roddy Piper is like trying to sleep, but he's all like, you ladies,
Because he's mad that
And she comes out and starts like doing like sexy moves and stuff. And I'm like, what?
And even he's like, what are you doing? Why are you trying to do this? And she's like, it's part of the mission. I have to keep you aroused. For the fertiles.
It doesn't make any sense.
I know it doesn't. It doesn't. Because then by arousing him, she activates the thing, right? Doesn't it go off? And he's like, oh, what are you doing? And she's like, I don't know. This is her first mission of this type, I guess. That's what
I don't understand. Because at first he's like, no, none of this. We're not doing this. And then he goes, well, all right, maybe. And he grabs her, and there's beeping.
Yeah.
Lemoncello holds a gun on them for some reason. I'm like, what is going on right now?
Oh, because they're starting to get passionate. I think he goes for her earring, and that's because that's right. They're rubbing close to each other, and he rubs against her earring somehow, and it sets off the thing.
God,
and
I didn't.
He's like, what? And she's like, I don't know. I didn't know what to do. And yes, Sentinella has to be right on it to protect. So it's a clumsy. It's just.
I enjoy how her character arc, Spangle, is she needs to learn how to dance sexy.
Yeah.
Like that's her character arc.
What has she got to do for the dance for the 3 serpents
I
or whatever?
don't know. And what do these ladies do? These ladies are playing the parachute game with her, basically. Yeah. And she is like having orgasms. I'm not sure. She's so funny. They're like, we have to teach you this so you know how to dance for the 3 snakes. And I was like, nothing about this makes any sense.
They're like, listen, you got to harness this hot flash that you're having. And you got to have this hot flash again later when you meet up with the friend. And he does. He's got 3 penises that start to go erect while she's dancing.
We even hear the one random woman while she's dancing being like, you have to dance sexy. It's so great. But
right
but
now,
her
sexy dance didn't work so much. But when she goes and she's kind of embarrassed, like, oh, I can't believe it didn't work, and he's like, I don't even know what the hell my point is here. Well, now Centinella comes and just takes her top off and lays down next to him and is like, well, I want to get to. And I'm like, you've got such a reputation. I want to get up on it. And he's like, well, I mean, I guess. And this is when he's like, she's like, how does it work? He's like, the flap. I don't know. You should know more than I do.
I love how nervous he is kind of through this whole movie because it's like, oh no, I hope I live up to your expectations. And she's kind of like, I don't have any expectations. Like, I've never been with a dude before. Let's just do this. Yeah.
She's like, I just heard some magical things.
Yeah.
But then Spangle comes in. And now you get to see that a little bit of tension is starting to brew between he and Spangle. Spangle is starting to get a little jealous. Like, it's like, why are you getting on him?
Because Spangle breaks this up, and she's like, whoa, hold on. No, that's not part of the mission. Whatever I was doing earlier was apparently part of the mission, but this is not.
And I think Centinella even, like, mounts them and is like, don't worry, I'm not fertile. I just want to try this out for shits and giggles. Oh, I do like it when now they're back on to their mission to go into Frogtown, and he says to them, you ladies must have moons for balls to go into Frogtown. Moons for balls is what he says.
Sure. Why not? Why not? Listen, if you're writing a movie with Roddy Piper, you got to sprinkle in the best dialogue for this guy.
I love it. So in they go. Oh, no, this is when he wants to renegotiate his contract.
And he throws it out the top of the car.
Yes. Yeah. And I think he decides to...
That's when they kicked him out of the car.
Yes.
They told him to walk because he threw the contract out. They dropped him off. And then it starts beeping, and he's like, oh, geez, oh, man, oh, no. And then he, like, trots off after the car.
Yes.
And then he finds them, and these two get to sit there and be like, look at this idiot. Let's go out the canteen because he's so exhausted. We taught him a lesson, didn't we?
Then they have some other sensor that goes off, right? This is when they track that late. Like, suddenly another sensor, and it's not his package.
It is funny because you hear more beeping, and he stares at his crotch, and she's like, it's not you, it's something else. Yeah. All the sensors just sound the same.
And this is the sensor for a escaped fertile woman, a fertile on the run. So to speak.
Which makes me think, do they just like...
Are they being tracked somehow?
Yeah. At birth, are they able to tell if women are fertile? And they're like, we'll just... I mean, I doubt at birth, but do they then just like implant chips in them or something? I guess because I'm wondering if these women were sort of kind of penned, for lack of a better word, in somewhere, chipped, and then they must have been taken by these frog people.
They were,
or maybe they escaped and they were like, we just want to live our lives.
And then
these frog people are like, they're cool to us.
Yeah.
Maybe the frog people are the real heroes in this movie.
Who are we to say? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because hell comes to Frogtown doesn't mean it's a bad place. It's hell that's coming in. Frogtown might have been just fine.
They seem very accepting of an elderly man named Looney Tunes.
Yeah, Looney Tunes just blends right in. It does seem like a sad place, though, Frogtown, when we're there. It's like the...
Well, yeah, I mean, grimy. It looks like
they drink...
Yeah, they like live in an abandoned iron factory or something. An old steel mill or something.
They live where Freddie killed all his 51st children that he killed.
Right. No wonder they're so sad. They're like, it's not too bad. Once you can get past the dogs with human faces, like, don't look at them. Once you're past that, it's fine. They do have a nice little neon martini outside of their bar, which is kind of snazzy.
Letting you know where you're at. And I guess an interesting nightlife.
Sure.
The alarm goes off, and it's this other fertile on the run. They run her, basically follow her on the road and capture her, and she's not in a great way, right?
No, she's very upset to have been captured again.
Right? Yes. And I love it because they look at him once she's captured and sedated. She's been given a shot where they kind of, sedate her a little bit. They look at him and they go, all right, are you ready for work? And it's like it just dawned on him what his job is. He's like, wait, you want me to just be ready? Like, I need more than that. And they're like, no, this is what you do. This is why we have you. So get ready. And then they hook up what is this contraption? Because then he's hooked up to this machine.
Yep. Don't know. Nothing's explained. I don't know what's going on at this point.
And they're looking at him like, oh, well, all right, do it. And he's like, I don't know, she hasn't brushed her teeth, and I like to kind of talk. I can't make love in this hostile environment. They're like,
I'm just surprised that she wasn't like, well, what if Citronella and I just like turn around? Like, is that cool?
Yeah.
Like, I'm surprised she doesn't bring that up, because it almost seems like, I don't know what they hooked up to him, but it almost seems like they probably have a screen somewhere where they'll be like, now we get to see.
Yeah, now we can watch it all.
Right.
We could even see what. Yeah. He's reluctant though at first. He doesn't know if he could work under these conditions.
There's something kind of funny because he doesn't come right out and say it, because he's making up all these great excuses, like you said, where he's like, she hasn't even brushed her teeth. I like some romance and stuff, but it's kind of like,
talk, yeah.
I'm not sure if I want to rape a sedated woman right now. Like, and that's what I thought, but then I don't know what they injected her with, but it's just so she's like, oh, come on.
Yeah, she starts moaning.
Totally
she's over there
it.
moaning. Yeah, she's over there getting ready, and he's like, oh, I mean, no, wait, first, we forgot about before they sedate her, and she's just in a bad way, and Spangle's like, come on, tell us you're fertile, and he's like, you got to be nicer to her, and he feeds her gently and holds her head, and he's
talks
like,
to her like she's a dog,
yeah,
and he brings her over like a dog dish full of food, and he's like, it's okay, girl, nobody's gonna hurt you, why don't you just drink this? And he holds the dog dish up to her face, and she spits it out at him.
That's when they sedate her. That's when they sedate her, and they're like, all right, we really got to get this train moving. And that's what Spangle's very businesslike about it. She's like, you have a job to do. Just do your job.
But once she's like moaning and like rolling around, he's like, fine, deal's a deal.
I guess it's in the contract, whatever. And now again, Spangle is a little jealous. The next morning, they are like curled up together in his sleeping bag. And Spangle's like, who cleaned her up?
Citronella. She's like, did you clean her up? She's like, I was cleaning my gun all night.
I don't know. But no, they're curling up.
They also put her in what appears to be almost like a pink plastic jumpsuit.
Oh yeah,
Did you notice this weird outfit? Because she gives him information. She's like, listen, I ran away. The other women are so passive. They're not going to run away. Nobody came with me. And they put a tracker on her wrist and are like, run that way. Someone will pick you up or whatever.
Exactly.
She's like, wait, what? And they're like, it's fine. Don't worry. Mothers are treated like queens. You'll be okay. Just go. Just run off into the desert.
Now you're pregnant with his kid. Move on.
Right. Yes.
We're done. We're done here.
So this is when we get into the meat, the nitty gritty of the plan, which is, like we had mentioned earlier, the doctor, like, strips down to, she kind of looks like Carrie Fisher when she's like held by Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, not as shiny because it's a black.
Not as shiny.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it's
not as shiny. But she has like a collar and a chain and all that. And now Roddy, oh man, now I'm doing it, calling him the same name twice. Sam, he gets to like pull her along and make some jokes about how I'm in charge and blah, blah, blah.
And he pulls her, like he keeps making these moves. And she does have, when he first gets into Frogtown, and again, he's dragging her by this collar. She's like, is just looking at him like trepidatiously the whole time. Like, don't pull my collar and don't do this. First, she's very like, all right, we're going in.
It's also a terrible plan. Like, I don't know what their plan is.
I like how she keeps saying, my plan worked. My plan worked. Like, once they're out, she's like, you see, it worked. I'm like, what was the plan?
First of all, I didn't hear anything about flares in your plan at all, because Citronella is out there just hanging out in a car for days waiting for this.
And like you said,
she sees a flare and it's like, time to go to work. I'm like, what? Looney Tunes shot that. You didn't know that was a signal. Anyway, did you notice the welcome to Frogtown sign?
I saw it. What about it?
It's really funny because underneath it says, if you lived here, you'd be hung by now. I thought that was really cute.
Welcome to Frogtown. Frogtown has a shady little nightclub, and there's a frog lady.
Nightclub is generous. I mean, I guess there is dancing. There's
our
woman
shady frog
dancing.
Lady. Yeah, dancing. There's men drinking. I guess it's like, what did he say it was? It's not beer, because they give him a beer later, and he's like, oh my God, that's real beer. But what did
I don't know.
Like,
this is when he drinks and his eyes go crossed. Roddy's really doing it in this movie. Like,
he's bringing his A game.
Yeah, after he got the note about screaming his lines, he kind of stopped. I assume they shot this sequentially. I don't know, but He's really going for it in some of these scenes. So he drags her into this bar. We see a bunch of frog people. And again, I know the movie is called Hell Comes to Frogtown. I did no research until I watched this. I was so happy when we got in this bar and I saw frog people. I was like, there are frog people.
Yeah, they're really here. Well, there's one we see in the very beginning. But yeah, we're just following these three.
Isn't he covered though? His face is covered at the beginning. He shoots that guy.
Yes, it's the one that.
But he's in like the black
you're right.
hood.
He's not full,
because he's calling him. He's like, you greenies aren't supposed to be out here. And I was like, it's a frog person. But I was kind of disappointed that we didn't see a frog for a long time.
You wanted more. Well, here you are. Now you're in Frogtown. You're here.
So Sam, he runs into an old man named Lonnie, but that doesn't matter. Lonnie doesn't matter at all because his name is Looney Tunes. I can't even say it. And you were not part of this episode, but when I was on with Steph, Rory Calhoun was the villain in the movie Motel Hell.
Oh, okay.
So we have seen him on the podcast before. But he's got like multiple lamps or flashlights like taped to a helmet he's wearing.
He's collecting uranium, right? Is that the...
He's saying a lot of stuff in this movie, none of which I paid attention to. Because he's not as funny as a guy named Looney Tunes should be.
No, he's not as crazy as a Looney Tune should be. He's just the old man that has... yeah. But they catch up, they see each other. Then Frog Lady comes over to, this is random too, all of a sudden Frog Lady comes over to Spangle and is like, I love you. And Roddy's like, that was weird. She's like, no, that's the code. That means the ladies are here. They're here, right? Isn't that the code?
So, well, I know that she's kind of on their team. I didn't know that she was in on this from the beginning. Like, I must have like blinked during this scene or something. I don't remember her saying anything to her. I thought it was just the, masculine energy of Sam that got her on their side. But I guess she's infiltrated this place.
Somehow she gives the cue to Spangle that they can proceed with the mission because the ladies are indeed here. The Looney Tunes, those, has some connections. He is going to get them set up with some.
I guess he's the owner of the bar.
Guy, I guess.
I think he's the owner of the bar. He's the lizard. He's a frog. Okay. He's an amphibian. He's the one who wears the fez and is in a nice suit.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And he's the one who's negotiating, and Sam's like, listen, you take her off my hands, you can take her and do whatever you want. He's like, whoa, buddy, hold on. I'm a reputable businessman here. She's just going to bring in the clientele. It'll be so great. Mm-hmm. And this is what I don't understand, because I'm like, when it's revealed what's happening, him trying to sell her to this bar owner gets him no closer to these captured women.
No.
So the plan doesn't make any sense unless a more evil frog comes in with a whip, which he has. I thought it was going to be his tongue. Did you think it was going to be his tongue?
And it would have made sense because frogs.
Yes, of course. Yeah. It would have made sense. And it would have been hilarious too, but it's like a whip or something.
Yeah.
And this guy's more evil and is like, let's bid on her, and their currency is lilies.
Yeah, that's right. Because they're frogs. Yeah, 5 lilies.
And I love how he's like, let's all bid. I'm going to bid 5 lilies. And everybody else like turns away like, no, I don't have that. Yeah. And my thought was, that doesn't seem like a lot.
No, 5 lilies, minimal. But again, look at where they're at. Maybe lilies are hard to come by.
I don't know. Even the bar owner can't come up with 5.
No. So they're all like, the frogs have patches on their eyes, don't they too? I wrote something about.
Well, the one guy has a patch,
and then
the other guy has what appear to be swimmer's goggles.
Oh yes. Again, just to differentiate, like this is a different frog than this one, just so you guys know. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they dress differently and sometimes have hats and eyewear, but pretty much it's the same frog used again and again and again, except for the lady frog, who has more human features and is kind of terrifying.
She's very well. Now she comes and saves. Now what happens here? It's in my notes, but I'm going to need you to help me a little bit.
Sure. No, of course.
So he kind of bartered the barter. The guy wins through the barter because he has more lilies. And now what happens? There's some kind of fight, and Rowdy's knocked out, right? Because Frog Lady saves him.
Yeah, because Sam is like, hey, you can't take her. And this frog just punches him one time in the chest. Yeah. He flies across the room and is out.
Frogs are strong, man.
Yes. Yeah. And then that's when he kind of comes to, and he's this female frog in a crazy headdress, too.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
She kind of brings him to and is like crawling all over, just like aggressively all over. As every woman is in the dystopian future.
They really are all over. Piper. They want some of this Sam Hell. Yeah, and he, again, now he's on a mission, so you really shouldn't take time away from your mission. But she's aggressive, and he tells her to put a bag over her head. All right, we can maybe do this, but you got to wear this, and then maybe I can get it done for you.
Yeah. But she's into it, though. Like, the fact that you're telling me now that she's in on this plan from the beginning makes this even more upsetting. The fact that she's not just like, listen, let's go to those women. She's like, no, let's bang this out now, dude.
Yeah.
And the fact that she's like, I'll put a bag on
whatever
my head.
I need to
awesome.
Do. Yeah.
And she sits on the bar with her human legs crossed and this giant bag on her head. And I love how he's like, and she is way toward the door, and she's like, is this it? Is this how you like it? And he's like, yeah, pretty good. Really funny, but
the alarm goes off again, right? Doesn't his crotch alarm go off?
Yes. Apparently now the female doctor, Spangle.
She's out of range. Yeah.
Yes. She's been taken out of range, so it starts beeping.
Right.
And that's what sort of breaks up this intimate moment.
Little romance here about to ruin. Yeah. And they, I do love this. So, yeah, what's going on? Well, this means we got to get going because Spangle's out of range and we got to find her. So the frog lady's like, okay, I got it. Follow me. And she takes him like to go down the steps and she literally trips and falls into like a pile of cables. And it's just like, go on without me. It's fine. You just go down the hallway and she's probably over there.
It is hilarious. It's like out of an action movie where somebody's been shot 40 times. They're like, there's no saving me, move on. She's just sitting on a bunch of garbage bags and she's like, go on without me, I'm a lost cause.
We do see her again later, but she literally just tripped going down the stairs. That's all that happened. She's like, it's this way, come on. Whoa! Oh, you know what?
She fell down 3 stairs and she is out of commission.
She needs to take a minute.
And he doesn't even like pick her up. He's like, all right, see you, I'm out of here.
He's like, this thing could explode if she gets any further out of range.
This is where he is equally stupid. He falls down. He goes and he sees that Spangle's like been kidnapped by this frogman. He leans against a banister, a railing, and he just falls down into all of this. And he's also immediately captured.
Not slick at all. He's like spying. He's like, all right, I found Spangle, and she's getting ready to be negotiated. And he just falls.
This is a guy who is entrusted to saving humanity, who should never have been thrown into Frogtown in the first place.
Sloppy as all fuck.
The toughest member of their group is sitting in a parked car. Who knows how many miles outside of Frogtown right now?
Waiting for a flare from Looney Tunes. Oh.
So this is where, after he falls, this is where Frog Lady and Looney Tunes
meet up.
They do kind of hook up, and she does like give him a kiss on his cheek, and he's like, "Oh, frogs are so gross," or whatever he says. Not nearly as funny as someone named Looney Tunes should be. Mm-hmm. So now Sam is tied up. He's strung up, like tied to a pipe.
Oh, right.
You really get a good shot of those guns he's got going. He's a professional wrestler, everybody.
All right. Don't forget it.
For as chubby as his face might make him seem, his body's still in pretty good shape.
Well, I mean, again, wrestler.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's tied up, and there's a frogman now that wants his
I have no idea why this frogman like pulls his loincloth aside and is like, oh, and I'm like, do you know what that is? Like the way he acts and the stuff that is said makes it seem like neither of them know what's happening right now. You as the viewer don't know what's happening right now. He picks up a chainsaw to cut this thing off of his crotch, and I'm like, why? Like, I would love it if he were like, oh, you must be that guy who can impregnate these ladies we got, thereby increasing our population. Maybe we have some serum that will turn people into frog people. Like, give me something at this point in the movie.
Why are you taking it off? Don't you want to keep him thing locked away?
Right.
Like, are you trying to make it so that he can freely use it? I'm not sure. Maybe you're against the government that's taking
none
him
of this
hostage.
Is said. Because my thing was they want to kill him because he's trying to save Spangle. Is that her name? Spangle. Yes. No. It's almost like he's trying to free his privates for the good of humanity.
Just because. Just to help a fella out. Just to help a fella out. Yeah, and he's like, no, if you do this, and you could hurt my pecker real bad, or something like that. That's what he said.
Sounds like a line that they would give Ronnie.
In the meantime, Spangle is, like you said, she's being sort of, there's this parachute-like dance happening. The Fertles are all around her, kind of getting her ready for...
chanting, getting her very sweaty.
Very sweaty, a little bit moany.
Yep.
And they're moaning along with her.
But every now and then it's like, this is so that you can dance the dance of 3 snakes. And okay.
And even she's like, I don't even know what this is about.
No, she's like, I don't know what this is about, but this is awesome.
Yeah, but these are great threads I have on right now, so I'm going to just go with it.
The costume changes she makes in this movie, from the camouflage lingerie to what they put her in now, which is like a
bunch of scarves.
Sheer nighty, but also with like slippers that are fluffy.
Yeah,
like at first I thought they were bunny slippers.
I like later when they're escaping and she's driving the truck out, and you see that she's got the fluffy slippers on still.
Yeah. And then at the very end, when you find out that she's okay, she has something totally different on, like jeans and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Where did you get this?
She got to change right back in. Yeah. Well, his piece is getting deactivated, I guess. She is getting activated. Could we say that, right? Because he's...
Oh, good one.
Yeah,
yes.
there you go.
When the frogman takes the belt off, he's holding it in his hand and it's beeping.
Yes.
And even Roddy Piper's like, dude, that thing's going to blow up. And he's like, what? It's not blowing up. And Roddy's like, they lied to me. And then it explodes, knocks his frog down in the tiniest explosion ever.
Yeah.
Like, it seems they really just wanted to blow up his penis and not
his whole him. Yeah.
Right. And then he falls over or something. He's saved by the woman frog somehow.
Well, the frog guy, every now and then the frog guys have some fun little lines. Like this time he looks at him and he's like, "You are one weird dude," he says to Rowdy Piper.
He says that because he takes the thing off of his crotch, where it was just like, do you think he did this to himself? Do you think
do you think this was his plan? You don't know.
Right. This is when she saves him.
The frog lady saves him, right.
Yes. And he says, I owe you one. And she takes the bag out, produces this bag from who knows where, and goes to put it over her head. And he's like, no, not now. I thought it was really funny. And then she's immediately stabbed and killed.
Oh, that's right. She's murdered now, too.
And then Roddy kills that guy, the chainsaw frog. He kills him. But now we can talk about Spangle and this dance, if you'd like to.
If I'd like to. The dance that she has to do. Well, he says, dance for me. She hears the women in her head saying, like, the dance of the 3 snakes.
Because she really is just like doing some like funky, like dancing like Elaine from Seinfeld. Like,
but with these flowy scarves around her. So she's like, so she does this dance, wearing her slippers, waving her scarves around, and it's making the frogman wild. Like, she's doing it. She's doing the frog.
I mean, it's making him wild in the fact that we get an uptight shot of his crotch and we see
like 3 bumps, right?
3 bumps like moving around under his skirt or whatever he's wearing.
And I like it. He's like, "Come to me. Come see my snakes." And she's like, "I'm not touching those things. Oh, this wasn't part of the deal. I'll do the dance. But I don't kiss on the mouth or whatever." No. How does Cheyenne? Sometimes I call Citronella Cheyenne in my notes. Now is when the flare gets...
yes, because that is Looney Tunes' job, is to just shoot a flare in the air for some reason. He says he'll take care of that, talking to the frog woman. And he shoots a flare, and it really is like... Citronella's reaction to this is almost... She should just turn around and been like, yes! It's such a fun thing where she's like, finally, it's Citronella's time to shine.
Because she's literally just been sitting out there waiting, hoping.
Just waiting the whole time. I don't know how many hours have gone by, but yeah, she basically takes that gun, or she drives the car in for this big rescue. And what happens now is Sam busts into this whole dance ceremony.
Yeah.
Shoots up the place.
Yeah.
Shoots all the minor frogs. Doesn't shoot the big bad frog, whatever, but saves her, and they start to escape. Running through an old factory, and suddenly it's daytime, which I thought was great when they run outside.
Because it's so dark in Frogtown.
Citronella just saw a flare in the middle of the night, and now it
was the wee hours of the morning for all we know.
Sure.
Yeah, now then they are able to get the ladies and evacuate them out, right? They get these fertiles, who are, again, all of them too in these like scarfy outfits, and into the white medic van they go, or the pink medical van they go.
So anyway, so they're on their way, and this is when I really thought this movie felt like Mad Max Fury Road, because they're in this car with a bunch of women dressed like Jasmine in Aladdin. Like, all of them look like Jasmine in Aladdin. This is when we find out, and they're also being chased. So it really does feel Mad Maxy, because like the frogs get in some muscle car to chase them in their old station wagon or whatever they're in. And we find out now that Rory Calhoun has somehow been mortally wounded in this fight.
Yeah. He's got doesn't he have to wear a thing on his face? No.
What? That's just his face. Wait, was he wearing an old man mask the whole time? I don't know what you're talking about. He's got blood all over the back of his head. The one lady's like, "Oh no."
Oh, sorry. That's just his face.
So I do like, right before he dies, he does look around at all these sexy ladies, and he's like...
He's so happy. This is a great way for him to go.
He's like, I hope heaven's just like this. And I was like, I hope you don't mean this wasteland that you're driving through right now. I know.
And I would say Sam's a little sad for a minute, because this is a good friend.
Just
and even
a minute.
Spangle's driving, and she almost takes her eyes off the road to be like, what? Oh, no, we lost him. Bummer. But they're on the run.
Right.
They still losing this guy is a sad thing, but they've got bigger frogs to fry, I guess.
An explosion goes off in front of their car, and they all decide, well, let's just park and get out at this point.
We'll just check this out. Yeah.
And they do, and now suddenly a figure that we have not seen before, or we did see him before. Sorry, we saw a mysterious human. Wearing
kind of watching.
Yeah, wearing a mask with like a, filtration system, like a gas mask or something earlier. But this guy now has them at gunpoint, and he reveals himself to be, surprise, surprise, the bad guy from the beginning of this movie, and also from Border Patrol. So no one's surprised by this at all. And he's even like, I've been dealing guns to frog people for a long time, and I hate women. Like it really piles on at the end here.
Yeah, he wants too many ladies, and they're taking over the men's minds, and this has all got to stop, and he's here to stop it, right?
Yes.
Well, they take him he takes them hostage now, right? He's in control.
Yes.
And this is when they try to get this.
This is when he has his hands up with the sword.
Yes, he has the sword. And
it's a very like Die Hard thing where he has this sword on his back and his arms raised. And unlike in Die Hard, where Bruce Willis in one fell swoop can grab the gun off his back and shoot the guy, he needs help. He needs to whisper to the woman behind him to raise the sword.
And he barely, terrible.
And they're about 3 feet from this guy, and they're all whispering to each other. She's like, but I'm a pacifist. And he's like, just get my sword, please.
Do you want to die right here?
Yeah. It's a
Apparently
whole
he's got a rotator cuff issue. He can't quite make it all the way around there, but whatever.
But he does get the sword, and he throws it, and it goes right through this dude.
Yeah. And now they think he's dead. They go run to find the body, but he's gone. No body, right?
Yeah.
It's like he's like taking the knife out of him, or the sword out of himself, and runs off.
And the end of this movie is a real like... It's kind of a weird slap in the face of some of this movie being like, it's kind of Sam being like, ladies, stand back. This is a man's job. And I'm like, Citronella has a gigantic gun and is clearly the toughest person, frog or human, in this movie. And you are going to like waddle your tubby body after this older man and have a big final showdown. And they do. He shoots the guy. He first thinks that he's dead, but he's not dead. He turns over, tries to shoot him. He shoots him, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So he kills this guy, and then it's a big fight between he and this evil frog. They have a big fist fight. It's not that, for as fun and crazy as this movie's been.
He pokes the toad in the eyes. He does that.
He does sort of win this fight with a Three Stooges move. He literally takes one hand, spreads his two fingers apart, and pokes him in the eye.
That's a move. That's a frog move. Frog wasn't expecting it.
Listen, it's a total... In a movie like this, if you're going to win the battle with a Three Stooges style move, I get it. Yes, good for you. Do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah. The frogman, he cuts off his hand. The frog falls off the cliff to his death. The end.
When they're fighting, there's a lot of times that Sam has to reach for his sword. There's a lot of like moments where he's like the sword's just a few inches away and he's like grasping for it. That was one thing their fight scene, like you said, it was a little whatever. But
for this professional hero or professional wrestler / hero of this movie, he drops that sword at least 8 times.
Yeah, he's very clumsy with it. Very, like I said, he's a sloppy hero.
Yeah.
He defeats the frogman, but now he thinks that his lady friends are gone. They're dead. He doesn't know where they are. He didn't see them.
Yep.
And he's a little bit sad about that.
And then they'll just walk around the corner.
They were like, we were, and I like it. He's like, so wait, were you just going to leave me here? And they're like, no. We were just, when things got bad, we had to hide for a little bit. And so we did. And we knew you'd be okay.
I want the deleted scene of all the ladies behind this rock being like, so should we just go? Like, should we just get out of here?
Want to just go?
I mean, he's really busy with that frogman. I don't think this is going to turn out well.
And why don't they just collect all of his sperm? Why do they need him to actually do the sex every time?
Hey, good question, Jamie. In a movie that is apparently in the future, you would assume that there's some way to do this. Right?
You think they would have taken some when they found the first runaway fertile?
You would think that they would have taken some before they sent him off to risk his life. And like, wait, before you leave, hold on a second. Let's just listen.
And either put the ladies on him or just give him some, like, time alone with some magazines. I don't know. However, you got to get him to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you probably have dry ice or some sort of freezing unit or something here.
I was like, dry ice to turn him on? I don't think that's going to work.
Does
but
that
I don't know what
just
you're
work
into.
for me? I watch old monster movies. I'm like, I bet they're using dry ice right now.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be good. Oh, dry ice.
Oh, also, did you notice at the end of this when he's talking to Spangle, their voices are suddenly echoing? Like, suddenly we realize we're in a canyon. It's so bizarre. We have not heard a single echo before this.
Yeah, but now they're there.
Yeah.
Well, and now the relationship between him and Spangle is for real.
So they're in this muscle car that these frogs had driving away. And it really is like... They're together now. They're a couple. Like we said.
But he's got to have sex with all the ladies in the back.
It is so funny how she's like, hey, listen, when you're done with your duties here, maybe I'm going to put in for some vacation. Maybe we can get away.
Yes!
And he's almost like, my duties, as though he has forgotten anything that's happening. The whole reason for this. And she like motions back to these ladies and he turns around and they all like wave to him like, remember us? And he's like... All right. But he doesn't even seem like, it's not even like a winky thing where he's like, a man's got to do what a man's got to do. It's him acting like, oh, jeez, I don't know if I want to do it.
He does say like, a soldier's work is never done, I guess.
It is wonderfully consistent how they make his character like not like the brash hero that anyone, like, could you imagine if this were a James Bond movie? Like James Bond, the whole time, the sexual innuendos would be over the top and crazy.
Oh, he'd be all over all of them. Yeah, he'd be telling all the ladies, what do you mean you can't? But he's more like, you mean you want this? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I need to have some beer, warm a nice conversation before I just jump into it.
Like, tell me a little bit about your family or something. Yeah, it's really crazy. So, and that's how it ends. That's how Hell Comes to Frogtown ends.
Sam Hell. I want to thank Zeke for exposing us to something that I definitely in my life would have not.
Sure.
I didn't even know it existed. Right. I really didn't.
Much like tape heads. We're like tape heads.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Yeah. I was like,
Tim
what?
Robbins?
Cusack. Yeah. This was one of those type of movies that First of all, not always does Barrett watch these with me, and he watched this one, and that was good. I feel like this was a good movie to have somebody else to watch with. I don't know if you did, but it was important to look at someone and be like, is that what you saw too? Okay, you did too. Okay, do frogs have 3 penises? They don't. Okay, I didn't think so. Okay. So while watching it, it was definitely something I would recommend watching with someone else. I would almost recommend you watch it just because it's crazy. I don't know that I loved it or even liked it very much, but I do recommend people see it because it's just a nutty film. I think it's the kind of movie too I would have to see twice, but I don't know when what's the mood to watch this again under. Do you know what I mean?
No, I think this is a great, and I know people that do this. I don't do this and I've never really participated, but if you have like a movie night where you have people like come over and it's like just a bunch of people sitting around having some drinks, like this is the perfect movie to put on because you can talk your way through it, you can laugh your way through it. Like you said, this is a perfect movie to sit down and be like, are you seeing this too? Because there's a chance I'm hallucinating right now. Yeah, and again, that's not how I watched this. I watched this by myself, and I sort of had a ball watching this. Like it's so crazy. Like and with that name, with that title, it's gonna be crazy. Yeah. But this is not the kind of crazy where it's oddly restrained craziness where like at any moment you could have inserted like bonk noises and cartoon sounds and it would have worked.
Made sense.
But I'm glad they didn't do that.
No, I agree.
Yeah. This was super fun, Zeke.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
And again, you're killing it with these recommendations. So I say start to think about what you want us to watch next year, I guess.
Yeah, bring it on. I agree. Top-notch stuff here.
So do you have a recommendation? This was tough for me.
It is I know. Well, that was the thing. Afterwards, I was like, I don't even know what I just saw to recommend something from that because I still have to. I almost wanted to be like, you're going to have to give, like the election, you're going to have to give me a week to digest what I've just seen to come up with with some sort of recommendation. What came to mind is I don't know I'm sure maybe people that from LA might know. There's this tale. It's that when I moved to LA shortly after you found out about this tale of the lizard people. Allegedly, there was this lizard people that lived in the catacombs of LA. Okay, this all sounds, underground. It was like
this sounds legit. Go ahead.
It came together, I think, in the 20s or the 30s, where some guy, and again, I'm going to butcher this story, but some guy came up with this kind of this legend of these lizard people that lived underground in LA, and he had this whole system mapped out of where they lived and how they were like, but they were like. They weren't necessarily frog people, they were lizard people, and they were like descendants of the Mayans. Like they were like an advanced culture. And it was the 20s or the 30s, so he got funding to like dig underground where he thought these catacombs were these underground. And it was like
I like how you're like, it was in the 20s, so crazy things, unlike QAnon or something like that. You're like, this could only exist in the 20s. True. Well, meanwhile, Alex Jones is yelling about lizard people every day.
So you're right. Well, anyway, that's where it stemmed from. Apparently, they never really found them, but there was this like I said, an urban myth about the lizard people of LA. I don't know if there's a documentary. There should be one about it. But if you look up the lizard people of LA, you could.
So your recommendation is to watch a documentary that probably doesn't exist.
That's correct.
I look forward to your recommendations so much. That one may have overtaken the Matt Lauer Olympic one. It may have for the craziest. Because even yoga videos on YouTube, you can find them. That's fine. Oh my God, that's so great. All right.
Well, what did you come up with?
Mine's not a whole lot better. Because what I do is I normally go to IMDb and I go through everybody's filmography. And I'm like, if something pops out that I've seen, I'll latch onto that. And I'm going to recommend a TV show, and it's a cartoon because Rowdy Piper did a voice in one episode of this show. It's the show, and you probably heard of it, called Adventure Time.
It's
Cartoon Network.
Okay.
It was on for, I think, 9 years. It was on for a long time. And my daughters and I, Jocelyn and Autumn, we watched the whole thing.
Oh, fun.
We watched it. It probably took us about 2 years to watch it. Each episode's only about 15 minutes long, but we had to go through like 10 years of this show.
Lot. Yeah.
And we were able to finish it like right when the show finished. And it's about this kid, and it's like a magical, mythical universe and stuff, but it's like this kid and his dog who's like plastic and can transform into things, and they just go on adventures, and it is sweet and it's legitimately scary, some of the episodes. And it's a show where the last episode, if my kids weren't sitting with me, I probably would have cried. It's crazy to say that. Yes,
so sweet.
They did not seem to be fazed by it. It's not like it was a sad ending. It was a really happy ending to it, but it was just like, we'd watched this for years, and it was just so sad that it was over. And I was like, I would totally cry.
You got emotional.
Yes, yeah.
Did you get emotional at the end of Hell Comes to Frogtown?
Not that emotional.
Okay, no, not that emotional.
Not that emotional.
All right.
No. So that's my recommendation.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. This was a nice recommendation
This was fun.
from a listener.
Yeah, like I feel like sometimes some movies just feel like the reason we have this podcast, and this is one of those movies that just felt like...
This is one of them. I know.
That's why we're doing this. All right.
And that's why he recommended it. That's why.
Yeah.
I mean, it's... Now I know. I asked the question earlier, why did he pick it? Does he have a reason? That is the reason.
Yeah, of course.
It'll be my reason for it.
He knows. He knows what we want.
He does.
So now, there's another thing that happens while we do this podcast is we start to make up holidays.
Because that's what we're... That's how we end the year.
Credit to Zeke. This holiday would have never existed had he not recommended in November us to watch Cobra. But
started us out Stallone
Cobra,
style.
We've started a wonderful holiday called Sly's Giving.
Here it is. Merry.
So every episode that comes out the Friday after Thanksgiving will be a Sylvester Stallone movie. And I'm trying to alternate between movies where he runs around with guns and movies where he doesn't. So we've fallen on a movie where he doesn't run around with a gun after
a gunless Stallone.
After Nighthawks from last year, which was
wonderful.
So
a treat to say the least. Yeah,
so great. Sylvester Stallone in a woman's wig. I wanted
fabulous.
all the time. But we're gonna watch a movie where he turns his baseball cap around backwards to get serious about arm wrestling. We're gonna watch Over the Top.
Over the Top, coming to you.
So that will be what we're covering in 2 weeks. I didn't say it at the top, but make sure you go to our website.
We got all the places to find us.
Everything. If you want to follow us, and you should follow us, because every now and then the movie does change. So if you do listen to the episode to the end to know what movie we're talking about last time, I do know there are people out there that watch movies in advance of us talking about them.
Right.
But if we do change them, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff.
You'll know.
Yeah, go to our website, goodtimesgreatmovies.com. You can find a link to our Patreon there as well if you want to be one of the wonderful people to recommend a movie to us every year.
Do you have a Frogtown in your back pocket? Because these are great. These are wonderful gems to be exposed to that we would not be otherwise. So, yeah.
I mean, it would have come up eventually. Since, Jamie, at one point you said we're going to talk about every movie in the 80s, which means we'll be doing this for at least 100 years. So we would have hit on it eventually. But if you don't want to wait for us to randomly stumble upon whatever VHS movie you have sitting in a closet in your home that you know no one has ever seen or will ever see.
Well, and this, by the way, was available on Amazon. Oh, right?
Yeah.
I think I got mine on Amazon. Yeah, so you could, it's not hiding from you.
No. Frogtown's not hiding from anyone. You can easily find it. Look for the place that says, if you lived here, you'd be home by now. All right, everybody, we will talk to you again in 2 weeks. That's it. Bone up on your Stallone before then. Have a great 2 weeks.
Thanks again, Zeke.
Yeah, thanks, Zeke. Bye.
Bye.
Shut your hole!
Do frogs have 3 penises? Maybe, perhaps the dumbest question I've ever asked on this podcast.
Well, I followed through. I Googled that shit.
I'm glad you did.
I was like, you know what? That's a great question. Let's Google it.